He's considered to be the oldest human mummy found intact, and scientists believe he died more than 5,000 years ago.
This is the world's first replica of Otzi the Iceman.
Scientists have now decoded the DNA of the famous Iceman, and what they discovered is nothing short of astonishing. Known as Ötzi, he is the oldest naturally preserved human mummy ever found, frozen in time with an incredible level of detail. His body offers a rare and intimate glimpse into a world that existed thousands of years ago, and his story remains one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. Discovered high in the Alps, Ötzi lived and died over 5,000 years ago. For decades, researchers could only speculate about who he was, how he lived, and what ultimately led to his death. But modern advances in DNA technology are now allowing scientists to examine his genetic material in ways that were once impossible. Hidden within his cells are clues about ancient human life, his origins, his health, and the world he inhabited. Each new discovery reshapes what we thought we knew about early civilizations. This single frozen body has become one of the most important archaeological finds of the modern era, offering stunning insights into the distant past and proving that even after millennia, history can still speak. The discovery of Ötzi's astonishingly well-preserved body, along with his clothing, tools, and personal belongings, has opened a rare window into the ancient world. For the first time, scientists were able to see how people actually lived thousands of years ago. But what has truly stunned researchers goes far beyond his preservation. The real revelation lies in his DNA. By analyzing Ötzi's genetic material, scientists have uncovered powerful clues about where he came from, what his health was like, and even the traditions and lifestyles of the people who lived during his time. In this video, we'll explore how researchers managed to sequence Ötzi's DNA and the groundbreaking discoveries that followed. Together, we'll unravel the mystery of the Iceman, the frozen traveler of the Alps, and discover how his story continues to reshape modern science. Trust us, you won't want to miss this. The story begins with one of the most extraordinary archaeological discoveries ever made, the finding of the Iceman himself. Ötzi, who lived around 5,300 years ago, was discovered in September 1991 high in the icy Alps near the border between Austria and Italy. His body had remained hidden for millennia, sealed within the ice, naturally mummified and preserved in nearly perfect condition. It was a discovery that offered scientists an unprecedented look into the distant past. On the morning of September 19th, two German hikers, Helmut and Erika Simon, were enjoying a routine trek through the Ötztal Alps. As they crossed a glacier, something unusual caught their eye, a strange shape emerging from the melting ice. At first, they assumed it was debris, or perhaps a backpack left behind by another climber. But as they moved closer, the reality became far more unsettling. What lay before them was not abandoned gear, but a human body, remarkably intact and frozen in time. Initially, the couple believed it might be a modern hiker who had suffered a tragic accident. However, as authorities and scientists became involved, it quickly became clear that this discovery was far more mysterious and far more ancient than anyone could have imagined. Shaken and unsure of what they had found, the hikers carefully photographed the scene and marked the location with a temporary sign. Knowing the situation was beyond them, they quickly made their way down the mountain to alert authorities and experts. The following day, a recovery team made up of mountaineering specialists, local caretakers, and rescue personnel from a nearby shelter reached the site. However, brutal weather conditions made their task nearly impossible. Even with specialized equipment like ice picks and pneumatic drills, the thick ice and extreme cold prevented them from safely retrieving the body. Reluctantly, the team was forced to suspend the operation. The body was left partially exposed, carefully covered with a protective tarp, as plans were made to return when conditions improved. In the days that followed, the site drew increasing attention. Curious hikers, journalists, and even legendary mountaineers such as Hans Kammerlander and Reinhold Messner came to see the mysterious figure frozen in the ice. At the time, most people believed the remains belonged to a modern hiker who had died in a recent accident. That assumption changed dramatically on September 22nd when forensic expert Hen arrived to examine the body. What he discovered stunned everyone involved. The remains were not recent at all. They were far older than anyone had imagined. A closer look at the clothing and objects found with the body revealed something extraordinary. Instead of modern mountaineering gear, the figure was dressed in fur, leather, and primitive garments. These materials clearly did not belong to a contemporary climber. In fact, they pointed to a much earlier era, possibly dating back to the Copper Age, revealing that this frozen traveler had been lying in the ice for thousands of years. Even more clues soon emerged. The markings on his skin, ancient tattoos, and a copper axe discovered nearby made it clear that this man didn't belong to any recent civilization. These details pointed to a society that existed more than 5,000 years ago. Recognizing the importance of the find, forensic expert Hen contacted archaeologist Konrad Spindler. After examining the evidence, Spindler confirmed the astonishing conclusion and elevated the discovery to an archaeological milestone. With careful planning, a specialized team was assembled to recover the body along with the objects found beside it. Among the preserved items were a bow, a quiver, a dagger, and a net, tools that offered rare insight into daily life during the Copper Age. The remains and artifacts were carefully placed into a wooden coffin and transported by helicopter to the Institute of Forensic Medicine in Innsbruck, where an extensive scientific investigation began. At the institute, experts from multiple fields worked side by side. Archaeologists, pathologists, geneticists, radiologists, and botanists collaborated to study both the body and the artifacts. Using advanced methods such as radiocarbon dating, X-rays, CT scans, DNA analysis, and even pollen samples found on the body, scientists were able to reconstruct key details of Ötzi's life. They uncovered information about his health, his diet, his environment, and the customs of the people of his time, slowly revealing the long-hidden story of the Iceman. Meanwhile, an unexpected political detail came to light. In 1919, following the Treaty of Saint-Germain, new borders were drawn between North Tyrol and South Tyrol, often using rivers and natural landmarks as boundaries. However, glaciers in the region made these borders difficult to define precisely. This unresolved issue resurfaced in October 1991, when researchers determined that the exact location where the Iceman was found lay on Italian territory. This discovery surprised many, as the site had long been assumed to be part of South Tyrol, and it ultimately confirmed Italy's claim to the area dating back to 1919. Ötzi's discovery itself was entirely accidental. In 1991, German tourists Helmut and Erika Simon came across the frozen body while hiking in the Ötztal Alps near the border between Austria and Italy. At first, it was believed to be the remains of a modern hiker who had died in a recent accident. Further investigation, however, revealed a far more astonishing truth. The body was not modern at all. It was over 5,000 years old, offering an unprecedented glimpse into life during the Copper Age. Since his discovery, Ötzi's remains have been studied in extraordinary detail and continue to shape our understanding of ancient human history. Today, the Iceman is preserved and displayed at the South Tyrol Archaeological Museum in Bolzano, Italy, where his legacy continues to captivate the world. Detailed physical and biological studies of the Iceman have given scientists a rare window into everyday life in the Alps thousands of years ago. Ötzi's body, which stood about 160 centimeters tall and weighed roughly 50 kilograms, was discovered in a partially mummified condition. This exceptional preservation allowed researchers to examine him in remarkable detail. Early on, some anatomical features were mistakenly believed to be missing, but closer inspection later confirmed that this was not the case. One of the most fascinating breakthroughs came from analysing the chemical makeup of his tooth enamel. This isotopic evidence allowed scientists to trace where he spent his early years. The results showed that Ötzi likely grew up in what is now the village of Feldthurns, just north of Bolzano in South Tyrol, before later relocating to a valley about 50 kilometres farther north in the Alpine region. These scientific methods revealed more than just his movements. They also offered clues about ancient diets. A close examination of the contents of his stomach and intestines provided insight into his final meal. Scientists found remnants of meat mixed with wheat grains, indicating a diet that relied heavily on both animal protein and cereals. Traces of herbs, bread, and fruits were also present, suggesting that his food came directly from the natural resources around him. This discovery was especially significant because researchers determined that Ötzi had eaten less than 2 hours before he died. Further evidence came from an analysis of his hair, which preserved a record of what he had consumed months earlier. Pollen samples found in his hair revealed that he had eaten foods derived from coniferous plants from mid-altitude forests. Additional pollen from wheat, legumes, and broad beans pointed to something even more revealing. Ötzi was likely involved in early agricultural practices. Together, these findings paint a vivid picture of a man who lived off both hunting and farming, offering an extraordinary glimpse into human life during the Copper Age. All of these findings helped scientists better understand the environment Ötzi lived in and the seasonal nature of his diet, which was far more varied and adaptable than once believed. One of the most remarkable discoveries was his axe, crafted from nearly pure copper. This rare and advanced tool suggests that Ötzi may have been connected to early copper working or smelting practices. Supporting this idea, unusually high levels of copper and arsenic were later detected in his hair. These details have reshaped how researchers view technology and innovation during the Copper Age. Ötzi's skeletal structure also offered important clues about his daily life. Studies of his leg and pelvic bones showed signs of repeated strain consistent with long-distance travel through rugged mountain terrain. This strongly suggests that he spent much of his life walking the Alps, likely as a shepherd. Such sustained physical activity was uncommon for people of that era, indicating that Ötzi possessed exceptional stamina and was well adapted to the demanding alpine environment. In 2009, scientists used advanced imaging technology to create a digital reconstruction of his face, allowing museum visitors to finally see what this ancient man may have looked like. The reconstruction depicts a man around 45 years old with brown eyes, a beard, and a weathered expression, features that reflect a life shaped by harsh conditions and constant movement. More than just a frozen body, the Iceman has given us an extraordinary glimpse into human life over 5,000 years ago, revealing the sophistication and resilience of prehistoric societies. His discovery remains one of the most important archaeological finds ever made. By revealing how ancient humans interacted with their natural environment, mastered early technology, and survived the harsh conditions of the Alps, the study of the Iceman continues to deepen our understanding of the past. Around the year 2000, scientists embarked on an ambitious and groundbreaking project, decoding the DNA of Ötzi, one of the most enigmatic figures in prehistoric history. This initiative marked a major breakthrough in paleogenetics, the field dedicated to studying genetic material from ancient remains. Extracting DNA from a body that had been frozen for over 5,000 years was an extraordinary challenge. Over time, DNA naturally breaks down, becoming fragile and fragmented, and even the smallest contamination from modern DNA could compromise the results. Despite these difficulties, advances in scientific technology made the task possible. Ötzi's body, discovered in the Alps in 1991, had been preserved by the region's extreme cold, which helped protect his genetic material in remarkable condition. Although the DNA was delicate, the freezing temperatures slowed its decay enough for researchers to work with it. The extraction process required extreme precision and sterile conditions to prevent modern genetic material from interfering with the samples. Once these hurdles were cleared, scientists employed cutting-edge sequencing techniques that were still emerging at the time. What followed opened an entirely new chapter in the study of ancient humanity, allowing researchers to unlock genetic secrets that had been sealed in ice for millennia. The process of decoding Ötzi's DNA was much like piecing together a shattered puzzle. His genetic material was damaged and incomplete, broken into countless fragments. Over time, however, advances in sequencing technology made it possible to assemble longer and more accurate sections of his genome, offering scientists a far clearer picture of who he was. Studying the Iceman's DNA opened an extraordinary window into human history. By comparing his genetic markers with those of modern populations, researchers gained new insights into ancient migration patterns and how early humans spread and intermingled across Europe. These comparisons also revealed important details about Ötzi himself, including clues about his health, diet, and physical traits. One of the most unexpected discoveries came in 2008, when scientists examined his mitochondrial DNA. This type of DNA is inherited only through the maternal line and serves as a genetic roadmap linking individuals to their most distant ancestors. The results overturned long-held assumptions about population movements in Europe. Rather than being closely related to modern populations living in the Alpine region, Ötzi showed a strong genetic connection to the people of Sardinia, a Mediterranean island far to the south. This finding stunned researchers. It suggested that ancient populations in the Alps may have shared closer ancestry with Mediterranean communities than with their immediate neighbours. This revelation forced scientists to rethink established ideas about European migration. The evidence pointed to a far more complex and dynamic network of human movement during the Copper Age, with populations travelling across Europe along unexpected routes, both northward and southward. Ötzi's genetic data also shed new light on the diversity of ancient European populations, revealing previously unknown interactions and connections. Beyond tracing migration, the sequencing of Ötzi's genome allowed scientists to examine his health and provided valuable insights into how certain diseases may have evolved over thousands of years. In this way, the Iceman's DNA not only told the story of one individual, but also helped rewrite a crucial chapter in the history of humanity. The study of Ötzi's genetic markers linked to disease offered scientists vital clues about the health challenges faced by humans thousands of years ago. These findings provided fascinating insight into illnesses that have affected humanity for millennia. Genetic research went far beyond identifying his ancestry and connections to other populations. It also revealed important details about his physical condition and overall health. Through DNA analysis, scientists uncovered information about Ötzi's diet, the illnesses he suffered from, and his physical traits. The results showed that he lived with several medical conditions, including arteriosclerosis, a form of hardening of the arteries associated with heart disease. This discovery was especially striking, as it demonstrated that cardiovascular problems existed even in prehistoric times, long before modern lifestyles. Further examination of his mitochondrial DNA and digestive system confirmed that Ötzi followed a diverse diet made up of meat, grains, and locally available plants. His eating habits were well suited to the harsh alpine environment, providing the energy needed to survive and function at high altitudes. These findings showed that prehistoric humans were highly adaptable and knowledgeable about nutrition in extreme conditions. The effort to decode Ötzi's DNA became a turning point in paleogenetics. New sequencing technologies made it possible to analyze genetic material from such an ancient individual with a level of accuracy once thought impossible. This breakthrough opened the door to studying other ancient humans and extinct species, mapping relationships between early populations and gaining deeper insight into the origins of our species. Each new discovery from Ötzi's DNA not only clarified his life story, but also illuminated humanity's early relationship with nature and with one another. As scientific methods continue to advance, ancient DNA analysis has become one of the most powerful tools for understanding our evolutionary past. Ancient secrets and modern connections. In 2012, scientists carried out an extensive new examination of Ötzi's remains, using improved technology and taking advantage of his exceptional preservation. These studies led to several surprising discoveries about the health of a man who lived more than 5,000 years ago. One of the most remarkable findings was evidence that Ötzi suffered from Lyme disease, making him the oldest known case of this tick-borne infection. Symptoms such as fatigue, fever, and joint pain are familiar today. But Ötzi's condition showed that bacterial diseases have plagued humans for thousands of years. Genetic and biochemical testing also revealed that Ötzi was lactose intolerant. This was common in prehistoric populations as the ability to digest milk into adulthood developed much later, after the domestication of animals like cows and goats. This discovery helped explain his dietary habits, suggesting that he relied on meat, grains, and plants rather than dairy products. Another striking revelation was the presence of arteriosclerosis, a condition often associated today with poor diet and inactivity. Finding it in Ötzi challenged the belief that heart disease is purely a modern problem. While his physically demanding lifestyle may have played a role, scientists believe genetics and environmental factors were also involved, raising new questions about health and longevity in ancient times.